So welcome to our Camelot Careers Talk on the main stage of our virtual careers event. So we were just having a really good conversation about Camelot and careers in general. So Michael, do you just want to fill everybody in about working for Camelot?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've worked at Camelot in our HR, what we call people department, for the last 4 years. And I mean, obviously, I work in the recruitment team. I'm going to say it's great, right? But I do genuinely mean it. I think it's been my career development has accelerated dramatically over the 4 years that I've been with Camelot for a few reasons. I think the main ones to call out would probably be the culture. I think because of what we do and our core mission, I guess, which is changing people's lives, whether that be through winning a jackpot or whether it be through receiving funding for a good cause. You know, people tend to be pretty nice. People have a really good cause to get behind. So when they are doing work or when they do get asked for help with something, you know what that ladder's up to, and you know what's going to help, what that's going to be helping in the long term. And also because we're, in the grand scheme of things, a fairly small company, we're only about 1,000 employees. You do tend to get thrown in the deep end quite a lot, and you do get lots of opportunity to do things that maybe are outside of your comfort zone. For me, presenting at talks to 15 to 18-year-olds is definitely outside of my comfort zone. So opportunities to go and do things that maybe you otherwise wouldn't do are probably the main things that I'd call on as to why I've enjoyed my time at Camelot.
Brilliant. It's great to have such an amazing organisation within our hometown. You know, you guys sponsored the event today, and what I really liked and what I picked on that Rachel said is that you have employed and recruited over 100 people despite the pandemic. So, you know, that is brilliant. What sort of roles were they?
Yeah, that's right, across the business. So if you think about what we do, you know, we make games that people play and people win. So we've hired people in our games development team, so actually thinking up the games that people can play, in our games art team, so actually creating the design that you will see on a playslip or something like that, in our IT and technology teams, in our digital teams that sort of keep our app or our website updated, marketing, finance, in our contact center, so people who are sort of answering the phones or responding to email or web chat queries, you name it, and we've hired people over the last 12 months, which is a great story to tell for sure.
It's brilliant. It's a great success story that, you know, even through the pandemic, there are opportunities out there. So what would your advice be to a young person? You know, we've got 15 to 19-year-olds here at varying different stages on their ladder to success. What would your advice be to a local person who's either at school or college at the moment and isn't quite sure of the next step?
So I have got a slide deck to run through. I don't know if you'd like me to start with that now, or if you're waiting for more people, or if you're happy for me to dive into that, Saffron.
You can dive into that if you'd like to. Yeah, we are recording this as well.
Fab. Well, that question you asked was particularly apt because that is a perfect segue to go into it. So let me open it up. Hopefully, can you see that now?
Yeah, perfect.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for the introduction and an opening conversation, Saffron. Just to recap for anyone who's just joined the room, my name's Michael and I work in the recruitment team at Camelot. We're the company behind the National Lottery, which hopefully is a brand that you're familiar with. And I'm here to talk about career choices. So hopefully, some of you will be able to identify and relate to some of the images on screen as maybe something that they either aspired to be when they were younger or still aspire to be now. I'll let you in on a little secret. I didn't dream of working in HR when I was younger, and truth be told, I don't think anybody ever has. My dreams when I was probably until 15 or 16, when reality kicked in, were to be a professional footballer. And then I realised I wasn't very good. So unfortunately, I had to make some other plans. But we'll talk more about my journey later on. I think that when it comes to talking about careers for people in that 15 to 18 year age bracket, they tend to fall into one of two different groups. I've definitely encountered this already on the table that I was sat at on the Camelot table earlier with the people we were speaking to. Either you'll be absolutely sure and certain of the career path that you want, and be very, very certain of that, like the person that you can see on the left, or they'll have absolutely no idea and be a bit confused about it all, like the one on the right. I think really valuable advice would be to not worry about which camp you're in. Both are absolutely fine and both are absolutely valid, and it's also absolutely fine to flip between one camp and another, depending on which side of bed you wake up and get out of. The fact that you're here thinking about future careers and possible routes to get there is a fantastic place to be in. So well done for joining us today, everybody, on the call. You're definitely showing a lot more maturity and development than I did when I was your age, when thinking of career choices was a million miles away from my plan. So well done for being here. If you are certain of a particular profession that you'd like to go into, my advice would be to talk to people. Talk to as many people in that profession or in that industry as possible to try and get as much of an understanding as you can of what they really like about that industry, what they don't like, what qualifications they needed to enter, and so on. You'll still have plenty of time to maybe decide, actually, finding out that you need to go to university for 8 years or that you need to go and do certain qualifications. If that doesn't actually sound like something that you would like to continue with, you've got so much time on your side to go back and take stock and think of other things. Alternatively, if you have those conversations and it really strengthens your resolve, you've already started to build a network of great contacts, getting really useful information on how to proceed, and you'll know exactly what your next steps are. So either way, just going and having those conversations will definitely set you up for success. If you're not so certain about the particular career path that you'd like to take, my advice would be identical. Talk to people. You've got a number of potential options and starting points, whether that be careers people or careers advisors at school or college. I'm sure they'll be able to give you some great advice and be a great starting point for you there. Outside of that, you've obviously got parents, their friends, other family members. Have conversations with them to find out what they actually do. There are so many careers out there that you really would never know existed, and that seems to be a running theme from a lot of people who have spoken so far today. And unless you're talking to the right person and actually ask them, what do you actually do? What does that job title actually mean? You probably wouldn't actually get to the bottom of it. And I'd recommend to really challenge your assumptions on what those job titles mean or what those people actually do. So if you think about it, police officers, they're not constantly handcuffing people all day, every day. That's probably less than 1% of their time. Or salespeople, there's an awful lot of work that goes into them actually shaking hands, or virtually shaking hands as it would be now, to close a deal and finalise a sale. Even if you think about teachers, they're probably in the classroom for less than half of their working day. So you get the idea of what I'm talking about there, about just really trying to challenge your assumptions on what people do in particular industries. One thing that might be a good starting point would be to have a look at careers pages for companies that work in fields you're particularly interested in. So if you're really passionate about clothes or about music, why not have a look at the careers page of a fashion house or a record label to get an understanding of the types of people that they hire. And I bet you'll be really surprised when you see the breadth and depth of ways to get into those sort of industries and have those sort of careers. There are so many roles behind the scenes that you probably never knew ever existed. But I think for those people in particular who are probably unsure and don't have a set vision of what they'd like to do in their career, I think it might be really valuable to them to rather than focus on the end goal of, I want this job title to work in this sector, is to think about the type of things that you enjoy doing, you're good at, and that give you satisfaction. So a couple of examples, and these are literally 4 examples of hundreds and thousands out there for you to go and explore and investigate. If you are the type of person who is really good with Excel and spreadsheets, and you've got generally a good grasp for numbers, I'm straight away thinking that could be someone who'd be a good fit in a role in data analysis or in finance. But just because you're good with numbers doesn't mean that you're going to be chained to a spreadsheet all day. And don't get me wrong, if that's the sort of position you'd like and that's where your passion lies, then absolutely there are opportunities for you in that sort of space. But if you combine that knowledge and love of numbers with being a good presenter and being able to work collaboratively, there are tons of jobs that will allow you to play to those strengths as well. And so things like being a commercial finance business partner or an insight manager, they're two of the types of jobs that we have at Camelot, which I appreciate probably don't mean a huge amount to you right now. But yeah, having those conversations will hopefully give you some more opportunities to explore that. Alternatively, you might be the sort of person who really likes to draw and gets a lot of passion out of drawing. Don't just see that as a hobby. You can definitely absolutely make a really, really good career out of that, and certainly earn a lot more money than I do out of that. So perhaps a role as a designer could be your calling. That doesn't just mean pen and paper. There are dozens of different software packages out there. For example, we have a couple of software packages that we use at Camelot to create our games and the artistry for our games, which you just wouldn't know was out there unless you actually got to go out and speak to someone in that sector. And the creative industry is so vast that I couldn't possibly do it justice in a relatively short chat like we're having now. If you're super organised and you've got a really clearly mapped out plan for your coursework and your revision schedule, then maybe a role as a project manager could be a really good fit for you. If you're someone who's really got a tight eye on your finances as well, and you always know what your bank account details are, and that could be the sort of thing that could be good for you. Or if you get a really strong sense of satisfaction from solving problems and helping people, then maybe a role in a customer-facing position could be a good fit. So that could be in person. So if you think about in a retail store or in a bank, or it could be done remotely over the phone or via web chat. So there are a whole range of positions there. They can be reactive, responding to queries, or proactive, actively reaching out to customers and understanding their problems. Alternatively, if you're still not sure, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and continuing with education to study subjects that you really love and you get passion from, and that give you an opportunity to keep plenty of doors open for you and giving you a chance to pick up and learn loads of valuable transferable skills along the way. You might find that you love working with and helping people, and you've got some good analytical skills and you're a good communicator. Was my journey, and that's what led me, once I completed my degree in history, to decide that a career in HR as a recruiter was right for me. At Camelot, we're one very small company, around 1,000 employees, which is less than 1% of the population of Watford. But we have 500 different job titles, 500 different job titles across 16 different departments that you can see listed here. So like I said before, I think you're definitely doing the right thing by coming to events like this, opening your eyes to what the world of work might look like and careers might look like. And now it's time for your turn to start asking questions. So I think 3 things that I'd recommend for people to take away and remember: talk to as many people as you can, ask as many questions as you can, and remember there's no right or wrong answer. This is your journey to be done at your pace and in your own time. Thank you very much, and please do connect with us on our social channels that you can find there, and also come and say hello to us on either of our tables this evening.
Brilliant. Thank you, Michael. That was excellent. Great advice. What I have noticed is what lovely people they are at Camelot. I've been on your table, so sometimes it's a bit frightening for young people to go and introduce themselves to people. But you've got to realise is that we're all here to help and give advice and nudge people in the right direction. So I think the amazing thing is people don't realise and recognise how many different job titles and job roles there are, and so.
It becomes very hard when you get to do my job and you've got to try and remember all 500 of them for sure, yeah. So,
but brilliant, thank you.
Very much, Michael. Guys in the room, please make sure that at some point this evening you go and visit the Camelot presentation.